And welcome to Foolish Fantasy. Your host right here, Kramer Sansone at Kramer Talks on X. Make sure you're following us there. But if you are back on this episode, that means you are a fantasy football nut like myself, and we can't get enough of it. So that's why you are here, to get all the tips, the tricks, and I guess I'm coined the fantasy football guru for Foolish Club Media. Which, by the way, if you haven't followed us at all on X, you might as well just do that at Club Foolish over there. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, and make sure you turn on notifications for literally everything. I need some water right there. I thought I was, oh boy, that's how this show's going to go. Make sure you're subscribed, follow, like, do all the fun stuff on there. Make sure you rate us on either Spotify or even on Apple Podcasts or any of the type of podcast platforms you do enjoy Foolish Club Media's content that we give to you each and every single day. But welcome into Foolish Fantasy. I am Kramer Sansone. Hello. And we are entering week 4. Week 4, everybody. We have a game tonight, which between the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. That's going to be a fun one, I guess, if you are a fan of them, or if you have any fantasy players on there. Like if you have a Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe we might have to get into later on throughout the show. We will be doing deploy or stash, or we have to deploy or stash Marvin Harrison Jr. for this game. We will do that a little bit later on. But with week 4 here, I always want to start off a question with every single show, because it's my interaction that I want to get from you. It's called Grade the Trade. So a trade took place in one of the leagues that I'm in, and I'm going to give you what Team A received and what Team B received. Team A received Jamar Chase, Bo Nix, Sam Laporta, and Travis Hunter. Team B, on the other hand, they received Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, Javonte Williams, and Brock Bowers. Who won the trade? And also grade the trade on this one. I can see it kind of be even down the middle. This is an over flex league, which means you can start 2 quarterbacks, so it makes sense why Bo Nix was in the trade. And you have the Travis Hunter, Brock Bowers. Those kind of like cancel each other out. Javonte Williams is the number 6 or 7 running back right now in fantasy football. Michael Pittman Jr. is a decent, he's been a great start to the season for the Colts, and Michael Pittman Jr. is a big reason why they're up there. Travis Hunter has done much. Sam Laporta has been consistent. Bo Nix has had a great first week. Last 2 weeks have been iffy. Jamar Chase just gets insane targets. But that's a good trade. That's a very good trade. I would say this is kind of even Team A or Team B. I'm curious to hear what you all think, but I think it's kind of even. Probably leaning more towards the Jamar Chase, knowing he's going to get a lot more targets that way, and also Travis Hunter's just a big question mark. So I think Team A might have won this trade on this one, but feel free to let us know in the comment section down on YouTube or even over on X at Club Foolish. So now we get to the Foolish Funsies, which we start off majority of every single show, and these are some big things that are happening because the New York Giants have said Jackson Dart is the new quarterback there. He will start this week for the New York Giants. New York Giants will be taking on that's off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, where the Giants are playing this week? The Chargers. That's actually a fun little. That's a game that I will be tuning into if I have the time to figure that out. If I can watch it during that day. But the Giants and Chargers. By the way, I'm in a championship game for my baseball league, but that's neither here or there. The Giants Chargers. That's gonna be a fun one to watch. That's gonna be a good one. Jackson Dart is named the quarterback, and it's probably smart because what we saw last week with Russell Wilson was insanely bad against the Kansas City Chiefs. The moon balls that were just staying flat. I kind of was wanting Jackson Dart in there by halftime. You could tell the roar, the uproar on Sunday Night Football saying, "We want Dart, we want Dart." And that was heard by a lot of people, probably including Russell Wilson himself, knowing that he's trying to probably play Mr. Cool Hands and not let that face him or not. But I think Brian Daboll was put on a hot seat. I know he was quoted saying that it was my decision. We're going with Jackson. It probably is his decision after talking with ownership, and ownership's probably thinking, you either get the job done or I will get rid of you along with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's probably done. I think we've probably seen the last game ever in Russell Wilson's career playing in the NFL against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. I feel confident saying that. Jackson Dart will be backed up by Jameis Winston in this game, but Jackson Dart was a nice and sexy waiver wire pickup, especially if you are trying to lean into that route, the possibility, the what if, I'm curious to see what the kid's going to do. But Jackson Dart is going to be starting for the New York Giants. It's Dart time in the Giants, which, I mean, good for them. Like, if that's what they're trying to go after, they want to get younger. They want to start off brand spanking new. This is the way to do it. Malik Neighbors looked completely deflated with Russell Wilson in this offense. I know he had that one great game, but that was also against the Cowboys. So that's a bad defense. The Bears walloped the Cowboys. But no, Dart is the quarterback right now, and he'll probably be the quarterback for the mainstay for the entire rest of the season for the Giants. And honestly, right now in leagues, I might as well have this out there. Jackson Dart is owned in he's owned in this league, so it's an overpowered league, and they also want quarterbacks. He's a roster in 14.4% of leagues. He had a 10% increase in his roster within the last couple of days. It probably has gone up since the time of this recording, but that's some people are considering it. Some people are. We continue around the foolish funsies. This isn't fun for Terry McLaurin because he's going to be seeking a second opinion on his quad injury that he sustained during the Raiders game in Week 3. Not good for fantasy owners because quad means at least 4 to 8 weeks. That's just what you expect right now. And we're already 1/6 of the way through the season. Week 4 is literally starting within the matter of hours by the time of this being posted. So there's just good luck if he was your wide receiver 1 or 2, probably most wide receiver 2s on people's teams. So you can at least know that you can bring your flex up and possibly bring your bench. But if you're trying to work out a trade, you might as well. This is the time. I think Week 3 is a time for you to do trades. Trades are just the beginning of what could possibly be a great run for your team, especially if you're a team that starts off 0-3 or a team starting off 1-2. I would say this is by entering Week 4 is where we're kind of get the eyeball of, all right, this is what's happening with these teams' offenses. And with Terry McLaurin going down and going out, you can probably already see that there's probably guys in the league or that peers in your league that have been talking about trades already. Like, I'm in, I think, 7 different type of leagues, and it's nice. It's all different. But everybody's talking. They're like, all right, I'm trying to move. I'm trying to acquire, trying to move. And you can throw your name in the hat like, hey, I'm looking for a wide receiver. If you have Terry McLaurin, you might be need to go find a wide receiver or find a way to replace the Terry McLaurin because this is huge. I mean, this was Jaden Daniels, one of his favorite targets. And if this quad injury is serious, and just like I said, I would expect 4 to 8 weeks. He's questionable right now, but if he can pull on through with this, he's trying to seek that second opinion. That seeking a second opinion worries me a little bit as a fantasy owner if I have Terry McLaurin. So put that onto the back of your thoughts. Zay Jones will miss this week's game with the concussion, so he's been ruled automatically out for the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals do actually the Seahawks don't really have the best secondary in the world, but they get the job done. I wouldn't say Zay Jones would have been a difference maker in this game, but this is if you have him as a flex, if you have a deep bench and stuff, maybe you can't start Zay Jones, but if you have a deep, like a 12, 14 team, maybe even a 20 team league that I'm in, this is a blow, and this will hurt some teams or leagues that have that type of deep a team. So Zay Jones is out. Let's talk about the Browns running back tier list. Because if you're like me, I was all in on Dylan Sampson at the beginning of the season because I did not know or if Quashon Judkins was going to get the deal done pending the charges that he had against him. Judkins is the clear-cut number 1 right now on this running back tier list if you are a Cleveland Browns owner. Like, I was all in on Dylan Sampson. His share of trying to get any sort of love out on the field is basically non-existent anymore. I believe he was out there for 3 or 4 plays this past week against the Packers. And Jerome Ford's going to be pretty much running back number 2 in this 3-man group. If you were trying to be like myself and bank on hopefully that Dylan Sampson was going to be the guy that's going to be almost the bell cow and Judkins is there, I thought he at least gets number 2 run. He's not even getting number 2 run in the running back list. And you can already see the Quashon Judkins from start to finish in this first game he even appeared in seemed like he was light years ahead of what Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson they were trying to use them for. So Judkins is, if you have him, if you drafted him, you have lucked out mightily. And honestly, if you're hurting on running backs, this is a guy that could possibly save a team if they were just trying to hold like a grab and stash. They were stashing Quinshon Judkins, and Quinshon Judkins is a person that is a person that you should never. You should have drafted him where he was at. I think he was like the mid-50s or the 60s when it comes to drafts. Man, that's a steal, I would say, in my book, because he's getting all of the attention. He's getting pretty much the Nick Chubb treatment when Nick Chubb was there, getting literally everything in the Browns backfield, and he's good. There's a reason why he is the number one. He's insanely good. I thought he was better than TreVeyon Henderson when he was coming out of college from Ohio State, and we've seen what TreVeyon Henderson's done, and he hasn't really done much in a New England Patriots uniform, but that's also because they have Ra that's in front of him on that, and also Antonio Gibson. So that's your tier list right there for the Cleveland Browns. It's running back one. You need to have him is Quinshon Judkins. Jerome Ford is your number 2 spot here. So if you want to try to handcuff him, that's the guy you want to handcuff. Dylan Sampson is droppable. I would say Dylan Sampson can go on the bench on some deep leagues, but you can if you are in a 12-team league, I would not, or 10 or 8, do not hold on to Dylan Sampson. You're going to get literally nothing out of him in value for what you're trying to do and hopefully win or get back into the race if you're down 0-3 or 1-2 in the season. I know it's very young, but we're still like 6th of the way through the fantasy football season. So we're in week 4. We're almost at the first quarter mark in the NFL. It just happens super quickly, it's always like this. And we're about ready to hit October here. Next week we will have we'll have one more podcast to recap what week 4 was, and then we would have in the next get you into week 5. It'll be October by then. So that's just absolutely insane. It is flying on by. If you haven't done so, make sure you have, at least in the comment section of anything, who won that trade, Team A or Team B? I need to know, Team A or Team B. All righty, let's do what you're basically here for, is deploy and stash. Deploy and stash is basically start and sit, but I do not. I'm good. I'm good. I like deploying or I like stashing. We're grab and stasher type of people. If you are a foolish club fantasy football head like myself, a foolish fantasy. All right, so we're going to go through each game. We're going to do there's 4 guys, 2 from each team. We're going to say we're going to deploy them or stash them. I'm going to try to figure out my first 2 deployables right now. First name on there is Trey McBride. Trey McBride is a person that you should probably start in most leagues. The Seahawks do struggle to cover tight ends, but have been effective against wide receivers. Trey McBride, I would say, is a good deploy type candidate. Marvin Harrison in this Thursday night football game. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be good, but I would not start Marvin Harrison Jr. The drop concerned me last week. I know it's just one drop, but he has not looked great with Kyler Murray whatsoever this year, and I don't know what's going on with it. The Seahawks do, like I said, they're effective against wide receivers, and they could shut down Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not saying fully shut down. We could probably see another 7 or 8 or 9 point game out of Marvin Harrison Jr. But you didn't draft Marvin Harrison Jr. to do that. You drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. to get you those 14 to 15 to 16 points each week, and that's what you're trying to go for. You're trying to get the most points possible. Starting Marvin Harrison Jr., you're not going to get the most points possible. I guarantee that. Cooper Kupp, you might as well deploy Cooper Kupp for the Seahawks, because the Seahawks have given up the single high in the league in targets at 79 targets to wide receivers, if I can say that right. The Cardinals, I don't know why it says 49ers on my sheet, so that's why it's messing me up so much. The Cardinals have given up a league high 79 targets to wide receivers. Cooper Kupp's going to finally Cooper Kupp. We're going to see him get at least 9 targets, 10 targets, and he might take down 7, 8 targets that game. Sam Darnold's slinging the ball right now, and he could probably expose some of this Cardinals defense, and I fully trust it. So Cooper Kupp you would deploy. I would stash Zach Charbonnet for tonight. He's just I don't trust the method that they got there in Seattle. I don't trust the Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. Let Kenneth Walker eat. Let him eat. He needs to eat. Zach Charbonnet is nice. He's a good player and all, but he's not what they want to do right now. Kenneth Walker needs to be out there. So those are my deploys and stashes for the Seahawks and Cardinals. On to the Vikings and Steelers in Dublin. So this is the 8:30 game. Make sure you do have your lineup set early. Maybe you should probably do it before you go to bed on Saturday night, or if you wake up super early right before kickoff, like I'm going to probably sleep in a little bit because now I'm going to get up at 8:30. I'll get up there right at time. But I'll make sure my lineup is set the night prior. So this is your friendly reminder. Hopefully, if you re-listen back to this, that's your friendly reminder once more. But let's deploy T.J. Hawkinson in this week. The love that Carson Wentz gave T.J. Hawkinson, it felt like he was a candidate of a great tight end again. The T.J. Hawkinson we saw about 2.5 years ago. It seemed like that was back. I think we're going to see a lot more of that with Carson Wentz this week. So you might as well deploy him. You might as well deploy Jaylen Warren as well. Jaylen Warren he's going to probably be the only good bright spot for that Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I don't think this offense is going to do firmly well against Minnesota Vikings defense, which they are the number one defense through 3 weeks. And those are the two guys I would deploy. The two guys I would stash: Jordan Addison from the old Vikings. He is returning this game. I just don't trust Carson Wentz enough to get him the ball. I trust Jordan Addison. It's just Carson Wentz. That's why I would stay away from starting Jordan Addison and continue with Justin Jefferson. He's going to clearly get more of the targets. But I would sit Jordan Addison and Calvin Austin the third. Don't. The Vikings defense is. If you have Calvin Austin in leagues, don't start Calvin Austin. Just saying. Commanders and Falcons. I would deploy Deebo Samuel this week and also Drake London. Deebo Samuel's going to probably get more of the run for the Commanders due to Terry McLaurin being out, and for Drake London, there's just. It's time. I think it's time because the Commanders defense has given up the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers. So there's run for that. There's run for Drake London to finally go from his 45 ranked position of all wide receivers right now all the way to possibly having a great week this week and go up to the top 20s. Like, that's a possibility this week for Drake London. I would start him. I would stash Corey Corksky-Merritt. There's a big question mark right now with the Commanders running back room. I expected an uptick for Corksky-Merritt to get more playing time, more snaps. That somehow didn't happen, as there's a 3-headed rotating wall right there with JCM, and then you also have Chris Rodriguez Jr., Jeremy Nichols, Mick Nichols had busted up that huge run against the Raiders, but Chris Rodriguez got more of the attempts to run the football, and that's just. I would stash JCM, and also I would stash Kyle Pitts this week. The Commanders can guard well, and there's lots of volume right now with no production with Kyle Pitts. So he might get you those 4 receptions for 32 yards, but you're not getting a touchdown. And you could probably put the blame Michael Penix on that, but that said, they also scored 0 points last week. So, who knows? Each week's different. Saints and Bills, I would deploy Chris Olave because he's just getting targets. And what do we like here? We like targets. Targets is the best thing that you would want in a wide receiver or even running back, especially in a PPR league. If you get that CMC targets, now that's the targets you truly, truly want. But now, Chris Olave, make sure you start him each and every single week, even though it's against the Bills. Bills' defense isn't the best in the world. So you want to start him. Khalil Shakir. There's going to be at least 2. One wide receiver's going to go off, and there's 2 on the Bills that kind of want to flash out there. I would deploy Khalil Shakir to do more than Keon Coleman. So I'm stashing Keon Coleman this week, and I'm also going to stash Spencer Rattler. I know some people are actually starting Spencer Rattler because he has somewhat of production value in fantasy, but I just don't this week. I recommend not doing it. Browns and Lions, I would deploy David Montgomery and Quashon Judkins because they're both going to be very scoring candidates. This is going to be a ground pound gritty game. And these are the 2 of the most grounded pound grittiest guys that I can think that are on the field. If you're going to put on Dan Campbell on the sideline, that's a gritty ground pound guy. David Montgomery, incredible this past week 3. Quashon Judkins as well wasn't a slouch whatsoever. Deploy them too. And I'm stashing Jameson Williams. I'm stashing Jerry Jeudy. These 2 wide receivers right now in a game like this, I doubt much happens throughout the year, especially with Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams has been a boom or bust guy anyways in this entire season. He's going to get maybe his 4 targets, 2 receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. That's basically what you're going to get from JMO this entire time because of just how there's too many cooks in the kitchen. If you have Sam Laporta, you have Amon St. Brown, you have yourself, you have Jahmyr Gibbs, you have David Montgomery. There's other clearly wide receivers are also a team as well that's probably going to get some run. Yeah, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I would sit Jameson Williams and Jerry Jeudy. He does get the targets. He's just not catching them. He's getting defended well. So I would sit him this week, especially against that Lions defense. Going to the Chargers and Giants, I would deploy Cam Skattebo and Quentin Johnston. Cam Skattebo, as we saw against the Chiefs, he's a bulldozer. He's a guy that is going to run through you and through the next person and probably get tripped up and maybe drag the person who's trying to trip him up. Cam Skattebo is a tank, and I liked watching him. I think he's going to probably do some exact what he did against the Chiefs. He's a good guy that gets you 3 yards no matter what. And Quentin Johnston, they're drawing up plays right now for him, and it's fun to watch. He's showing out why he is a true first-round draft pick. That's why he was drafted that high a handful of years ago. I'm also going to stash Jackson Dart at 10% increase ownership of Jackson Dart. Don't start him. Do not start him against this Chargers defense. This just don't. It won't work. Just keep a hold of him. There's really not much. There's a lot of guys on this team that I would stash anyways, but Jackson Dart's gonna be the big one that people are probably thinking, oh, Jackson Dart, Jackson, yeah, I got to start him this week. No, don't start Jackson Dart this week. And then also Ladd McConkey. You're gonna stash Ladd McConkey. I would stash Ladd McConkey for a handful of weeks right now. I don't know if they stopped the play designs or the Chargers offense was surprised of how good Keenan Allen still is, because Keenan Allen, I think, is getting all of the attention right now from what Ladd McConkey was going to. Ladd McConkey had a great week 1, and don't get me wrong, he's going to get his 3 catches a game, but he's not getting the touchdown love. He's not. Johnston is, and so is Keenan Allen. And Keenan Allen seems like he's the biggest red zone threat right now in the NFL. So I would sit Ladd McConkey this week against that Giants team, even though the Giants have a not so good secondary, but they kind of played decent against Kansas City Chiefs a handful of times. Just Tyquan Thornton was the big reason why they won that game, and Patrick Mahomes. So we continue. Let's go to, as we're doing deploy or stash, let's go to the Eagles-Buccaneers game. A.J. Brown and Emeka Buka, you're deploying them to. These 2 wide receivers have just been in great works for both teams, and I think this game could be a wide receiver show. I do believe you should stash Dallas Goedert and Cade Otton because they have great linebackers that are not going to give up much passing to the tight ends. That's why I think the wide receivers are going to get more run here. And this might also be a great game from Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts just to be slinging it out the entire time. That'd be interesting to watch. On to the Titans and Texans game. I would deploy Calvin Ridley this week, because the Texans secondary isn't good. They just released C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so you know something's going on there. Calvin Ridley, it's Ridley time. It's time to bet on Ridley and make sure he's going to do good this week. I put all my cards in the basket, or put all my chips on the table for Calvin Ridley right now. Nico Collins is another guy I would deploy. He was just insanely targeted last week. Big reason why they got a touchdown. Also a big reason why I believe that they win last week. The Texans won last week, right? I want to say they didn't. They did. Did they? Last week? It's preseason. No, they lost the Jaguars last week. But still, the only reason why they got 10 points is because of Nico Collins. So you can't take that away from him, but I would start and deploy him. I'm stashing Tony Pollard this week. Texans have a good ground and pound defense minus their pass game. We saw that with Travis Etienne last week and Michelle Tootin. They at least kind of held him at bay. I think they can probably hold Tony Pollard at bay. It's a weaker offensive line there, so there's at least that. And I'm also going to stash Christian Kirk. He's going to first game back from the injured list, and I don't know if he's going to do too much, but you never know. He could actually go out and go crazy and might take away from Nico Collins. But if I'm either going to start Nico Collins or Christian Kirk on my team, I'm definitely starting Nico Collins. On to the Colts and Rams. I'm deploying Daniel Jones this week. Daniel Jones is a insane fantasy quarterback right now. I don't know if he's going to get it all the way through the air against the Rams, but I feel like he's going to get this done with his feet, and I can see him running in for a couple times for a touchdown. That's just where I'm in line with Daniel Jones right now and why you should deploy him no matter what. I would also deploy Tyler Higbee, tight end. That's a tight end love right now. There isn't much tight end help right now, like production value for a guy that stands out the most. Tyler Higbee has a good chance of having a good game against this Colts defense that struggle against tight ends. So I think that's at least the case for there. I would stash Tyler Warren and Blake Corum. Tyler Warren has been great this season, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to get some attention the way that you would want him this week. I would stash him and Blake Corum. On the Jags and 49ers, I'm deploying Brian Thomas this week. I am. I think this is the time where he gets it figured out. I think they get a deep shot, maybe a play action play will happen because they're going to probably be more concerned on the run. 49ers are banged up. I'm deploying Brian Thomas. I'm deploying CMC. CMC is a deployable person each and every single week. I'm stashing Travis Hunter, though, until he proves me otherwise, until he proves that he can be a proven guy on my team. I'm stashing him no matter what. And that's how the feeling should be for you. Also stashing Ricky Pearsall this week as well. I don't know if he's going to get him and Juwan Jennings showed up questionable either way right now. So I'm curious to see who even plays, but I'm still stashing Ricky Pearsall. Ravens and Chiefs, I'm deploying Derrick Henry and Tyquan Thornton. Derrick Henry, he's been stopped a handful of times by the Kansas City Chiefs, but I don't know if that's the case this year. I just don't. The Chiefs defense does look strong. It looks like how it used to be. But there's going to be some holes and there's going to be some times where you just run the football and you know it's going to work. And I think finally the Ravens might do it. If he doesn't, then Lamar Jackson should. I just know this game should be a great game. And Tyquan Thornton, he's the wide receiver 2 on this team right now, and he should be the wide receiver 1. I think he even might be the wide receiver 1. When Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy come back, he'll probably be the wide receiver 3. But even when they do come back, I'm still making sure I deploy Tyquan Thornton because he is your deep shot candidate no matter what, and he can also get you his yak. And that's why you should deploy him this week. I would stash Zay Flowers, secondary if the Chiefs defense is showing out, and I don't know how much Malik Neighbors was 2 for 7 for 13 yards, but also Russell Wilson throwing the ball. So it's somebody different throwing the football to Zay Flowers. But still, I would stash Zay Flowers, and also I'm stashing Travis Kelce. I can't start Travis Kelce against the Ravens. I just can't do it anymore. Travis Kelce. I'm not saying he looks washed, but he looks like he lost a step. I'll leave it there. On to the Bears and Raiders games. I'm deploying running backs this week for this game. I'm deploying DeAndre Swift and Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty is finally going to have a game where he's going to be showed that, hey, this is why he's a first round, the 6th overall draft pick. That's this game this week, people. Start Ashton Jeanty. And DeAndre Swift's going to get a lot of checkdowns from a pass rush that the Raiders are going to put on Caleb Williams. So you're going to at least get the DeAndre Swift catches and also with him attempts on running the football and possibly getting touchdowns that way. I'm stashing DJ Moore. DJ Moore seems like he's the number 2, or at times, if my friends was talking to me about Luther Burden, a bunch of Mizzou guys, they would say that Luther Burden's number 2 and DJ Moore's number 3. DJ Moore has fallen out of the rotation, I think, of the Caleb Williams he can trust mindset, and relied upon Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze is a stud. He's going to get overlooked. DJ Moore's being overshadowed by Rome, so I'm stashing him. And also, I'm stashing Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker might have went bonkers last week. I don't think it's going to happen this week. I know it's going to say bad Bears defense, but the Bears defense stood tall against the Cowboys last week. So I'm stashing Trey Tucker. I think Brock Bowers is going to get back into the mix again. Ashton Jeanty is going to take over the ground game. That's why Trey Tucker has been insane for the Raiders. For the Packers Cowboys, which is going to be a fun Sunday night football game, I'm deploying the tight ends. More tight end love. We got Tucker Kraft and Jake Ferguson. Ferg is the word. And yeah, start them. These 2 teams can't guard tight ends. You already know the Cowboys can't guard anybody over on the offense. So make sure you do start Tucker Kraft, and he's a great candidate to catch at least multiple touchdowns. Stashing on the Packers, I wouldn't stash anybody. Playing against the Dallas Cowboys, I would stash George Pickens, though. George Pickens is not going to have a good time this weekend, especially because Dak's going to be super under duress, and he can't get the ball to George Pickens. So that's why I think Jake Ferguson's going to get the love. That's why you should deploy Jake Ferguson. Jets and Dolphins on Monday. Monday? Why did I say it like that? Monday? I might start saying that now. Jets and Dolphins on Monday as Breece Hall and Tyreek Hill should be deployed. And I am going with the same exact method as I did earlier on with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You can either stash one or deploy one, but one of these guys are going to get the most targets and the most yards on there. I think it's going to be Tyreek Hill over Jalen Waddle. I am stashing Mason Taylor. If you haven't noticed, that he's actually getting some more carry up. I did tease on Veach season that Mason Taylor is a good addition to have earlier on before the season even started. And I think once Justin Fields is back and fully comfortable, which I believe he is starting this week, even though he just came off that concussion, Mason Taylor at some point is going to get some shine. It's coming soon, but I would still stash Mason Taylor. And the Bengals and Broncos, the last game of the Monday Night Football. Bengals, I'm deploying J.K. Dobbins, as you should. You should, no matter what, deploy J.K. Dobbins. You should also deploy Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown is going to get a lot of dump-offs from Jake Browning, and we're finally going to see Chase Brown be that that first round draft pick you selected, or that second round draft pick you selected for running back. He's actually going to perform like that this week and hopefully win you a fantasy game or two. And stash T. Higgins and stash Troy Franklin. Two wide receivers that I don't think are going to get many action from their quarterbacks and Bo Nix and Jake Browning, but T. Higgins, Troy Franklin, stash him. So that was deploy and stash right here on Foolish Fantasy. Hopefully you all are taking this by consideration. I'm not saying don't do it, but you can. If things work out, awesome. If things don't work out, you can't blame the messenger on me. That's just how my knowledge is and what we've worked out throughout this entire thing. But I do appreciate all of you who stuck it this far into the podcast. Make sure you do like it, subscribe, do all the good and great stuff that can help grow this channel on YouTube, over on our podcast, over on Apple, Spotify, you name it. If you can share this to at least 2 friends, you know what? If you could right now, copy and paste this and post it into your fantasy football chat. Or do that with caution, because they could be taking the exact same tips that I've been feeding you. Or who knows? They might already be listening. So thank you for all tuning in. This has been Foolish Fantasy. And with week 4 means great things for people going into week 5. Good luck this week. You might need it. If you're 0-3, hang in there. If you're 1-2, you're sitting fine. If you're 2-1, good for you. And if you're 3-0, I wish I was you. Good luck this week to your week 4.